Hi everyone, I'm Loida. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be covering 4 different reasons why your real estate leads are probably ghosting you. So stay tuned. Now before I begin this video, my name is Loida. Of course, if you have been watching me, you know who I am. If you're brand new, I am a real estate agent in Southern California with eXp Realty and Team BC. And I post a lot of content pretty much every single week here on my YouTube channel. If you're not following me on social media yet, specifically on Instagram, I definitely recommend for you to start following me there because I do go live almost every single Wednesday. I have a series called Wonder Woman Wednesday where I feature a lot of powerhouse women, and we do a lot of chats and interviews that is all real estate related and a lot of great information that you would probably want to learn about, especially if you're watching my videos. All right, so if you're watching this video, it's probably because you have been making phone calls, you have been generating leads, you think that you're getting these potential clients or prospects that eventually are going to convert, but then the time has come where you're following up and they just ghost you. I know it has happened to me, it has probably happened to you, and you know, one of the reasons that I wanted to make this video is because recently at the office, part of my team, one of the agents, John, so shout out to John, he makes so many phone calls every single day. He sets maybe between 5 to 7 listing appointments every single week with people that initially tell him that they're super motivated and they're serious, they want to put their house for sale, and then when it comes to following up, after he has already set the appointment, but he follows up to confirm that appointment, it's like crickets. They don't answer. He calls, he texts, he sends a video message, and nothing. So what is going on? Obviously, if you're watching this, it's probably because you have been in that situation, whether it's with a buyer or a seller. The reality is that in this business, you're always going to encounter people that are going to ghost you. People that are going to ignore your phone calls, ignore your text messages. And the first reason why you're probably going to be getting ghosted is because they're just not motivated. When someone is not motivated to either buy or sell, even if you had a great initial conversation with them, if they're not motivated to make the move, the next time you call, they're just going to look at their phone and they're going to be like, oh, you know what? I don't want to talk to Lloyd. I'm just not going to answer. And that's exactly what happens. So you as a real estate agent on that initial phone call, you think that you're already going to get a paycheck 45 days from now, when in reality, the person on the other end, the homeowner or the potential buyer, they're not really motivated to either buy or sell a home. It's not a priority to them. So the next time that you as an agent follow up with them, they're not going to answer. If someone is not motivated, no matter how many times you call, you text, you email, they're just not going to answer. The way that they see things and the way that a lot of people in general see things is that they would rather avoid any type of confrontation or just being a straight shooter and letting you know, hey, you know what, I'm not ready at this time, but thanks for calling. So instead of saying that, they're just going to ignore you because they think, well, if I ignore them or if I don't answer the phone, eventually they'll stop and they'll go away. But in reality, if you're anything like me, we follow up until we finally get an answer yes or no, or they finally pick up and tell us exactly what's going on. So that's the very first reason why someone is probably going to ghost you, just because they're really not motivated. Reason number 2 is because they are not serious. Now, being serious and being motivated kind of goes hand in hand. Now, the difference between being serious and being motivated is that when someone is not serious, again, no matter how you present the numbers, no matter how you present the benefits of either buying or selling, initially they might tell you that yes, they're interested because they might just want to get you off the phone. But as soon as you hang up, they're probably like, you know what, I'm not really even serious about selling my house. Like, where would I go, or why would I even want to do that right now? So they leave you hanging and pretty much they lead you on in that phone call only to later on ignore you. And again, here we are thinking that we have a potential prospect that's going to convert and we're going to get a paycheck, when in reality, they were just not serious from the start. So that is the second reason. When someone is not serious, they're just going to ghost you because, again, going back to my first point, people they're just not straight shooters. They would rather avoid picking up the phone instead of actually picking it up and saying, hey, you know what? I'm not serious. I'm not motivated. I'm never going to buy. I'm never going to sell. So stop calling me. The third reason why you're probably going to get ghosted is because whoever you spoke to probably has to run that decision by someone else. So let's say you spoke to a husband. He says, you know what? We're definitely thinking about selling our home. You went ahead and set an appointment. You pre-qualified the husband. But then he says, you know what? I have to run the things and everything by my wife. Now at that point, the next time that you follow up with him, if he has not spoken to the wife, he's probably not going to answer. It's kind of like a 50-50 chance. Sometimes they do answer and they say, you know what, I haven't spoken to my wife or my husband, so just call me back 3 days from now. And then we kind of start a domino effect where it's just like you following up like every other day to see if the initial person that you spoke to has spoken to their significant other or their spouse. So that is going to happen all the time. Now there's a lot of objection handlers for when you have conversations like that where a prospect says that they have to run certain things and certain ideas and scenarios by their spouse. And when you initially have that phone conversation with them, so let's say in this example that I'm giving you, I spoke to a husband. He said they're definitely ready to sell, but he has to run things over through his wife to see if she's going to be on board. Then at that point, I would find out, when are you and your wife usually available? That way I can get you both on a phone call so that we can chat about everything and I can also answer any questions that she has. You want to get that time from that person, because if not, what's going to happen is that you're just going to be chasing that initial person all the time. And again, if they haven't ran things by their spouse, they're just not going to answer. And that goes both ways, whether you're talking to a potential buyer or a seller. Now, when it comes to a potential buyer, sometimes they say, you know what, we definitely want to purchase. We know that right now interest rates are low, but I have to find out first if my parents are going to help us with the purchase. Or, you know what, we kind of want to bring in my brother on the loan. So you have these great conversations, but then there's another third party that is involved that is also a decision maker. And until all the parties talk, they really are not going to give you an answer. And that's why they're probably not going to answer your phone calls or your emails. A great thing that you can do, if you're comfortable doing this and if you have their address, is that if you see that they're completely ghosting you, especially if they are a seller, is that I would recommend for you to go and door knock. Go and door knock that person, and while you're there, door knock the neighborhood to see if you can get any other potential seller or buyer leads, and take advantage of that face-to-face interaction. That way they see that you're actually serious about the work that you do and helping them. And at that point, if you do catch them at their home, they'll be able to shoot you a straight answer, say, you know what, yes, we're ready. I'm sorry that I hadn't answered your phone call, but let's definitely get together. My wife is here. Let's all like kind of coordinate a day and a time type of thing. Now, when it comes to buyers, and I briefly want to touch back to the previous points that I made about not being serious and not being motivated. When it comes to buyers, a buyer that is not motivated or serious is a type of buyer that tells you that they want to purchase, but they just never go ahead and actually submit their paperwork to get the process started. So you might have multiple conversations with them, or you might direct them to your lender, but then the lender can't get a hold of them. The lender calls multiple times at different times of the day. They send out emails. Maybe eventually they do get a hold of this buyer lead and they send them the list of the documents needed to get the process started, but those documents never come in. Or you might get a buyer that says, you know what, I want to start looking for homes, and until I find that perfect home, then that's when I'm going to want to go ahead and submit all my paperwork. And at that point, you better tell them that that is not how this works, because obviously someone has to be fully approved in order to even start seeing homes. So when someone tells me that they don't want to submit any documents and they first want to start seeing homes, what that tells me is that they're not serious. Even though they might say that they're serious and motivated, to me, a serious buyer will take the proper steps to get approved, to see how much they qualify for, to see what their purchasing power is. And at that point, they will do what I, as a professional, recommend for them to do. If they don't do that, or if they don't follow the steps of my system and in my business, then at that point I make the decision whether I want to work with them or not. And the last reason why someone's probably ghosting you is because you are actually not asking the right questions. Maybe you think that they are a lead when in reality they're really not. Maybe they told you that they're thinking about buying or they're thinking about selling, but they want this astronomical number of a figure for their house, and you're thinking to see maybe you can help them, even though the reality of the market is that they're not even going to get close to that if they were to put their home for sale. So when it comes to this last point of why they might ignore you, and it's you not asking the right questions, this is something that will come through experience. If you're newer, it might be a little bit tougher, but just always remember you have to have a script in front of you, because a script is going to guide you so that you ask the right questions. That way you can determine whether someone is serious and motivated, and at that point you can see how often you're going to follow up with them and whether or not it's going to potentially turn into something. Now, doing this is also going to help you see kind of how this prospect reacts. Usually if someone just starts questioning you and taking control of the conversation, many times if they hear something that they don't like, or an expectation that they were not expecting, at that point internally they will make a decision of whether or not they want to work with you. And after you guys hang up, even if you had a great conversation, if there was something negative that stood out to them, the next time that you follow up, they're just not going to answer. So sometimes it's really about asking questions and setting the right expectations so that both parties know exactly how you guys are going to move forward. And that's it for this video. I hope this has given you a little bit more clarity on perhaps why you're getting ghosted. Let's face it, none of us like to be ignored, especially when we make so many phone calls and we get all these leads that get us excited, only to later on be kind of just, you know, discouraged and sad that some of these people just are not reachable. But just know that this is normal. This is part of the business. This is part of the process. And what I will tell you is that as long as you are following up and you're being consistent, even though they're ghosting you and they're not answering you, you'd be surprised. It has happened to me where people reach out randomly after many years just because they're finally ready, and they say, you know what, I've always gotten your messages, I've gotten your phone calls and your voicemails, I just haven't been ready, that's why I never answered, but now I'm ready. When can you come over, because I want to put my house on the market and I want you to help me. So you're gonna get those calls. So just keep the faith, keep going, keep prospecting, and with that being said, I will see you on the next video.